Here is amazing proof that Jesus died on the cross.
All right, let's see it.
Jesus quotes Psalm 22 from the cross when he cries out to God, and there's so much in Psalm 22 that surrounds the cross that it's often called the Messianic Psalm. Well, in verse 6 of Psalm 22, it says this: "But I am a worm and not a man, a reproach of men and despised by the people." That Hebrew word can be translated two ways: a worm or scarlet stuff.
So quoting Strong's is a good way to demonstrate that you don't have a firm grasp on any biblical languages. But let's see where this goes.
Did you know that there's a worm called the scarlet worm? When that worm is ready to lay eggs, and it only does this once in its lifetime, it attaches itself to a piece of wood.
So this is a mix of true and false information. There is such a scale insect. The genus is known as Kermes. That image is not of that, but it is an image of a gall on what's known as a Kermes oak, and the Kermes oak is associated with that insect, but this gall does not come from that insect. This gall comes from a tiny little wasp called a Plagiotrochus quercus.
After that, it forms a hard crimson shell around it, a scarlet shell. And then it lays the eggs, and for 3 days the babies feed on the worm.
So this is inaccurate. There's no 3 days thing associated with this, and the shell is not a crimson shell. That was the gall of a tiny little wasp. The shell actually more closely matches the color of the bark. These are images of what this scale insect actually looks like.
Then after 3 days, a scarlet dye comes out of the worm that stains the wood that it's on. The babies are then covered in this scarlet dye, and they're that color the rest of their lives.
So, two things here. First, this is wildly wrong. There's absolutely no dye that seeps out of anything, and these insects are not colored red because of any dye that turns them red in the early phases of their life cycle. These scale insects are naturally colored red, and they are used to create dyes that are used to color threads and textiles red, but that dye is created through a process of drying out the scale insects' bodies, crushing them up, boiling them in water, and adding a mordant. Second thing, the images here have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with this insect or with any other insect or with ancient Southwest Asia at all. These are called bloodwood trees. They're from South Africa, and they are trees that have a red sap under the bark, and when they are injured, they seep that red sap that looks disturbingly like blood, and it's actually supposed to coagulate to seal the wound. Here are a couple other images of the bloodwood tree and its sap. And if you'd like more information on how these insects are used in the creation of scarlet dye in ancient Southwest Asia, this article can be freely accessed online, and it includes a short discussion of the biology and life cycle of the related insect. For more information on the insect itself, you can also check out this article, also freely available online. And it includes a handful of images to show you the life cycle of the insect.
And then after that, the body of the mother turns from red into a white wool-like substance, and it falls off the wood like snow.
So while that image on top does seem to show this insect, the image on the bottom seems like the remnants of mealyworms. It does not fall off like snow. That's just something that someone made up in order to gin up a connection to Isaiah 1:18.
And we read this in Isaiah 1:18. It says, "Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool." This is a truly remarkable creature that God put on this earth to show himself through his own creation.
Nope, this is a bunch of half-truths and fabricated ideas created entirely to make it seem like that's what's going on here.